to hear some remarks from our commanding general and to meet some new friends. And we also have the expected outcomes of student excellence, school excellence, organizational excellence, and outreach excellence. And we will be focusing today on student engagement. More on the rest of the agenda after we have our guests speak to us. First of all, the person who needs no introduction up here to most of us is Ms. Julie Fulton, our friend from the School Liaison Office. She is one of our 2 school liaison officers here at Camp Lejeune in New River, and she is going to make our introductions today. And so, Julie.
I'll keep this nice and brief. We have today Brigadier General Andrew Neibel, who is our Commanding General for Marine Corps Installations East and Camp Lejeune, and his wife Joanne Neibel. And if you ever have a chance to go to the Camp Lejeune school board meetings, she's often one of the little squares on the virtual meeting, and she's very engaged and keeps up with what's going on in this area. They used to have children in the Camp Lejeune schools, and I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Julie, and it's my pleasure to be out here today. Thank you all for cutting out and making the time to come out. I'll try to cover just a little bit of what's going on, but the reason I'm here today is really to thank all of you for your commitment, really, for those that have been around since 2020 and have kind of gone through and fought through the COVID challenges that we had. I view the COVID thing here, and when I was up at the Pentagon before this, from a little bit of a different lens than you all probably do. I view it through a lens of readiness. Readiness meaning we've got our MEF, our Marine Expeditionary Force, here at Camp Lejeune. And for those not familiar, the MEF is the headquarters of our warfighting capability here in Camp Lejeune. So we've got over 40,000 here that fall under the MEF. And they've got to be ready to go out the door at a moment's notice. You all probably know what's going on in Europe with Ukraine and Russia. We have folks that just were over in Norway doing an exercise called Response. And General Journey, the head of the MEF right now, would go, that wasn't an exercise, that was an operation that looked like an exercise. Because when we go someplace, people pay attention, they take notice. And we're over there really supporting NATO and some of our allied countries over there. And we've got other folks around Europe that were not expected to go that are over there now. So, you know, the Marine Corps likes to say, you all seen the commercials, we're America's 911 force. We're most ready when the nation's least ready. But that comes at a cost. That doesn't come because we really, really want to be the nation's crisis response force. That comes because we have a high level of readiness. And that high level of readiness, and I've seen it more than I ever have before, is not just going out to the field and training and learn how to use your weapon systems and those types of things. It is all the work that goes behind that to enable that to happen. And that is from folks like you. So when I see COVID come in, and you've got folks that have to stay at home to take care of young ones, they're not in the MEF, and there's medical readiness, there's physical readiness, there's training readiness, mental, spiritual, all the rest of it counts to being able to get out the door and go do our nation's calling. We were, and you all know this, Camp Lejeune schools were one of the few that did not shut down. That equals readiness for our MEF. So thank you all for being committed, and I know it was by shoestring and by just a thread in a lot of cases, you all covering down on each other's classrooms and coming in on times when things were really, really tight. I've heard the stories and I know it. When I first got here, there were 3 things I wanted to focus on when I took over for General Alford. The first one was building a modern infrastructure here on Camp Lejeune. Those of you around in Florence in 2018 know that was mostly a water event, a lot of wind because it was a hurricane, but that water really damaged our old infrastructure. So how do we build back something that's going to be resilient, that's going to be able to withstand it? The second thing was, I call it deter the threat. Deterring the threat is we've got not only physical threats at our gates and cyber threats through our networks, but also the threats inside the fence line here. You know, things like sexual assault, drunk driving, drug usage, those types of things. Let's be wary of that and stomp that out. And the last and most important thing was strengthen the alliance. And that's about people, because that's what our business is. It's about people. And without good people, committed people, leadership, followership, if we don't have that, we start to fall apart. So I started a campaign here that I really wanted to try to capture what that was. To make the MEF ready to be able to go down and fight, it takes all of you, it takes the hospital, it takes all the folks at MCCS, it takes people to keep our roads maintained, it takes folks to keep our chow halls up and running, all the things that it takes to run a city. And it's often underappreciated at times, and I wanted to hit that hard, so we started a campaign. We went out for a slogan contest, and I said, look, I'm trying to capture what it is that we do in support of our national defense asset that we call 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force. And we had a whole bunch of stuff come back, different quotes that came back, and we had to do it like 3 times, because the first ones that came back were terrible. They were not good at all. It was, they were just these grandiose, don't go chasing rainbow type. I said, look, we're in the Marine Corps. We need something, a little grit, something. And finally came back and we got Make Ready. So what Make Ready is, for those of you who may have been in the Marine Corps, the military, associated with somebody in the Marine Corps military, when you go on a rifle range and you qualify, when you're on the line, you have your magazines loaded, and they'll say load, and you load a magazine in the magazine well. They'll say make ready, and then you slingshot. You bring that bolt back, and it hits around and puts it in the chamber. So now you're ready. All you got to do now is sight in and fire on your target. So that was the quote. So there's a little bit of a military bend to it. But it's also what we do. We make ready, you all make ready families, in addition to affecting the lives of young people for the rest of their lives. You make ready families, and you also make ready the MEF to be able to go down range in a very direct, tangible way. And when you add a COVID on top of that, when you add resource constraints, if you're anything like the base here, there's not enough money to go around, not enough resources, so you have to get creative. Personal commitment, some of your own sacrifice, that all counts towards building a ready MEF. So thank you all very much for what you do. Thank you all for helping build and create a ready MEF. It's my true honor and pleasure to come out here and meet and see all of you face to face, and thank you personally. So before I turn it back over to Ms. Faulkner here, Joe, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Hi, I'm a fellow teacher too, and I actually became a permanent sub here at TT as a PE teacher many years ago.
Woo woo!
And I was subbing a lot at Johnson, and that's where I met Ann. But when I left to come here, well, it was a different school. I left with a packet of lesson plans from her because she has the best games. And yeah, we had a great time teaching, and thank you so much. I think COVID put a spotlight on teachers. So hopefully something good will come out of it, and well-deserved.
Thanks, guys. We are going to 3 other schools, so we can't stay too long, but honestly, I get to be in the meetings with the green side, and they talk about you guys a lot in a very positive way. I know you don't get to hear it all the time, but I do want to share with you that is going on. So thank you.
Julie, before I should ask if anybody has any questions before we head out or comments on
I'm going to let you keep your schedule recording. Thank you all so much for coming and doing this today, and please feel free anytime to come back. Once a tiger, always a tiger, so keep those sub skills sharp, because we need you, Bye-bye. Bye-bye.